My girlfriend gave me $20,000 every month. Generously. No strings attached. And I stuck to the boyfriend code religiously. I never checked her phone. Never asked where she was going or who she was seeing. Sometimes I'd spot her out shopping with another guy, and I'd panic more than she would, head down, quick getaway, like I'd just walked into something private I wasn't supposed to see. 6 months into our relationship, we were watching a movie on her phone, cast to the TV. Suddenly, a text popped up mid-scene. It was from a man. "Babe, I've been hospitalized." We both froze. Our eyes met, awkward, unspoken tension in the air. After a moment, I cleared my throat. Want me to go check on your friend at the hospital?" That night, with a heavy heart and a tutoring gig ahead of me, I hopped on my bike and pedaled off toward one of my students' homes. Just as I turned onto a quiet street, someone called out. "Hey, you on the bike?" I slowed, glanced back. "You talking to me?" "Yeah, you. Come here." Confused, I stopped and walked over. The girl was tall, striking. Her long legs alone could stop traffic. She handed me a bank card, her voice calm and detached. "Be my boyfriend. I'll pay you $100,000 a month. Deal?" "What?" She repeated, this time more curtly, "Be my boyfriend, $100,000 a month. This is the last time I'll ask. Yes or no?" I blinked. Was this real? $100,000 a month? From a total stranger? I took the bank draft from her hand without hesitation, grinning. "Sure thing, babe." She gave a small nod, hooked her arm through mine, and turned to face a man standing across the street. "Get a good look," she told him. $100,000 means nothing to me. I'd rather give it to a stranger than ever give it to you again." The man let out a low, scornful laugh. "You think flashing a check will make a difference?" That's when I finally looked at him, sleek suit, sharp features, a certain cold intensity in his expression. He had that polished, calculating air of a Silicon Valley type, the kind of guy who speaks in code and carries himself like the world owes him nothing. And those eyes? They looked at me like I was dirt. A flicker of doubt crept in. What if the check was fake? She noticed my hesitation and pulled out her phone. "How do you accept payments?" I quickly opened my Zelle app and held out the QR code. She tapped a few times on her screen, and within 10 seconds, my phone chimed. "You've received $200,000. Note, voluntary gift." My breath caught. This wasn't a test. It was real. She held her phone up to the guy across from us and gave it a little shake. "See that?" His face shifted instantly. He said nothing. "Remember," she said coolly, sliding her phone away. "I dumped you." Then she turned on her heel and walked off. A few steps ahead, she glanced over her shoulder. "Well? You coming or not?" I snapped out of it and jogged to catch up. "Coming, babe." We crossed the lot to a sleek black Porsche Cayenne. She stopped and asked, "Where to?" "I'll drop you off." I almost blurted out the address for my tutoring gig, but then I remembered the $200,000 that had just hit my account. "Dorm," I said instead. She nodded. "All right." So, $100K from the bank draft, $200,000 just now. You're officially my boyfriend for the next 3 months. That clear? I stared at the payment confirmation on my screen, then shook my head with conviction. Crystal clear, sweetheart. She handed me her Instagram handle. Add me. I followed her instantly and sent a DM. I'm your boyfriend. She glanced at the message, gave a small nod, and tucked her phone away. That's it. If you need anything, come to me directly. Then she slid into the driver's seat, started the engine, and pulled away without another word. I stood there for a moment, watching the tail lights vanish around the corner, my pulse still racing. I could hardly believe it, me, a guy who never even won a scratch-off prize, just got hit by lightning. Twice. Pulling out my phone, I double-checked the balance. $200,803. For the first time in my life, the world felt unbelievably kind. I rushed back to the dorm and canceled my tutoring appointment without a second thought. Back in my dorm, I opened YouTube and typed "How to spot a cashier's check scam." I scrolled for what felt like forever. Nothing matched the exact kind of check I was holding. I returned to my desk, took out the bank draft, and studied it closely. The issuing bank's name was legit, that much I confirmed, but then I realized something: she never actually said which bank the account was drawn from. I opened our messenger chat. That's when it hit me, her Instagram was practically a ghost town. No bio. No full name. Profile picture, solid black. A handful of public posts, all older than 3 days. I stared at the screen, a chill creeping up my spine. I didn't even know her full name. After a long hesitation, I took a breath and typed, "Hey, babe." It took her half an hour to respond. "What's up?" I quickly typed back. For this cashier's check, which bank should I go to cash it?" Another 30 minutes passed before she finally replied. "First Federal Bank, Downtown Branch." Right after, a 4-second voice memo came through. Loud club music blared in the background, laughter echoing behind her voice. "That's my birthday. Remember it, I might quiz you one day." I almost typed, "Sure, I'll remember it forever." But something held me back. Instead, I deleted the draft and just sent. "Got it." No response. I didn't wait. I grabbed the cashier's check and headed to the nearest branch near campus. After a short wait, I reached the counter and slid it across to the teller. She glanced at the amount, nodded, and said, "Since you're not an account holder, there's a $20 processing fee. Funds will be available in 2 to 3 business days after verification." I signed a stack of forms, watched her feed the check into a machine, and she handed me a receipt. The money wasn't mine just yet, but something inside me finally eased. For now, at least, it looked real. I went back to the dorm, took a long hot shower, and crashed into bed. That night, I dreamt I lived in a gated luxury community, brushing shoulders with billionaires. One of them, a charming old tycoon, was whispering juicy celebrity secrets to me over whiskey. Just as he leaned in to expose a certain actor's hidden scandal, my phone rang. Loud. Shrill. Real. And just like that, the dream shattered. Half asleep, I fumbled for my phone and picked up the call. "Hello?" A bright, playful laugh echoed through the line. "Were you asleep?" I glanced at the time. 3:50 a.m. "What do you think?" I muttered, annoyed. There was a pause. "Are you snapping at me?" My brain switched on instantly. "Oh God, my girlfriend." No, I said quickly, softening my tone. "Of course not, sweetheart." There was another pause. Her voice came back a little slower, tinged with alcohol. "Why didn't you say goodnight to me?" To be honest, I'd never been the type to check in before bed. But I couldn't exactly say that. "I was going to," I said, improvising. "I guess I fell asleep before I could." She hummed, a bit hazy but clearly listening. "You know you're my boyfriend, right?" "Of course I do. And that means I want everything normal couples have. Everything. Or I'm cutting this off after 3 months." My ears perked up. 3 months wasn't the hard stop. "So we can keep going after that?" I cleared my throat. "I understand. I'll be more mindful next time. But just to be clear, I hesitated. I'm not selling my body or anything. She laughed, teasing. Oh please. Even if you tried, I wouldn't buy it. I let out a quiet sigh of relief. Man, this job was kind of amazing. Anyway, I have class in the morning, she said. When I come downstairs, I expect to see you there with breakfast. I'll text you my dorm number and phone. Yes, baby. Good. Now go to sleep. Yes, ma'am. I straightened up and said sweetly, good night, babe. A soft was all I got before the call disconnected. I didn't sleep much after that, maybe an hour. By dawn, I was showered, dressed, and standing outside the girls' dorm with 2 bags of hot breakfast in hand. That's when I hit a snag. I was ever so slightly, face blind. I'd been too distracted yesterday, by the Porsche, by my bank balance, to really study her face. All I could remember was, she wore a black dress. Had legs for days. And her skin was so pale it practically glowed. Oh, and she had a diamond stud in her left ear. So there I stood, holding takeout bags and scanning every girl walking out the building. My eyes were glued to their ears. A few minutes later, a girl stepped out of the dorm wearing a black dress, a black stud in her left ear. That had to be her. I smiled and walked up quickly. Morning, babe. She froze. The chatter around us suddenly quieted. Then came the teasing whispers from the girls nearby. Lillian, since when do you have a boyfriend? Wait, isn't that our underclassman? Lillian? She's a senior, from my major? She gave a polite laugh. Sorry, my boyfriend's half asleep and grabbed the wrong girl. Before I could figure out how to respond, a familiar voice rang out behind me. A hand slid over my shoulder, and I felt her lean in, smiling. Your girlfriend's over here, boyfriend. At that moment, I felt like I'd just been fired. We walked a little ways down the path before she let go of my shoulder. She lit a cigarette with unhurried precision, then gave me a sly look. Do I look like her? She was backlit by the morning sun, standing just at chest height. Her eyes were narrow and slanted upward at the corners, her nose petite, her whole presence edged with something sharp and magnetic, dangerous, in a way that draws you in. The girl from before had a similar build, but her features were softer, downturned eyes, gentle lips, and a comforting warmth to her whole demeanor. I gave her a sincere shake of the head. Not at all. Then why the hell did you walk up to her, she asked, one brow arched. I stood next to you for 30 damn minutes, and you go call someone else babe? I threw up my hands. 30 minutes? I didn't even see you come out. I wasn't here last night. I took a red-eye back just for you, she said with a dramatic sigh. And what do I get for my effort? My boyfriend calling another girl sweetheart right in front of me. Is this because I don't pay you enough? No, no. You pay plenty, I said, panicked. I swear, when I get back I'll memorize your face down to every eyelash. I won't ever make that mistake again. Her lips curled into a faint smile. I thought you were supposed to be the cold, quiet type. But with me, you're just a puppy. I grinned. I can be whatever you want. Stoic. Silly. Sweet. Just say the word. She stubbed out her cigarette and flicked it neatly into a trash can. Since your customer service wasn't terrible, I'll let it slide this time, she said. Got class this morning? I let out a breath. Nope. Free all morning. She shot me a quick glance. Then come to class with me. With that, she crooked a finger at me and strode off toward the academic building. And if I ever catch you calling someone else babe again, she called over her shoulder, I'm docking your pay. Got it. I hurried after her. For 200 grand? Forget class, I'd skydive with her if she asked. Vanessa was a year ahead of me, a computer science major from the next department over. She led me through the back entrance of a lecture hall and claimed a seat in the very last row. Without missing a beat, she pulled out the breakfast bags and started sorting through them. "This one's not my thing. You take it. Bacon and eggs, that's my favorite. Next time, bring more." I grabbed a random notebook from my bag, popped the cap off a pen, and began scribbling quickly. "Understood. Please continue." She raised an eyebrow and leaned over curiously to peek at what I was writing. Across the top of the page, in large block letters. "The Patron's Preferences, Breakfast Edition." She froze, then burst into laughter, completely caught off guard. "You're too much," she gasped, coughing mid-laugh. "Are you trying to kill me with this?" Her laughter quickly turned into a coughing fit. She choked and sputtered for a solid minute before settling down, her face even paler than usual. I watched her, then quietly jotted down a new line beneath the others. "Girlfriend prone to choking, handle with care." The professor stepped into the classroom just then, scanning the rows. "Is Vanessa here today?" "Right here," she replied lazily, raising her hand without even sitting up straight. I nodded to myself. So her name was Vanessa. "Finally meeting you in person." "That's rare," the professor said, before turning to the board and starting the lecture. Vanessa half-listened for maybe 5 minutes before her head began to dip. She leaned into her palm and dozed off, mouth barely parted. I wasn't doing anything better, so I figured I might as well take notes for her. Didn't matter if I understood or not, just write it down first, make sense of it later. I buried my head in the notebook and kept going, page after page, line after line. Eventually, Vanessa stirred. Still sleepy, she propped her chin on her hand and quietly watched me take notes. The moment the bell rang, Vanessa rubbed her temples and asked in a raspy voice. "What's your name again?" "Ethan." "Got it." She patted my head like I was a loyal retriever. "Sit tight. I'm hitting the bathroom." As soon as she walked off, a sharp rap landed on the desk. "Hey." I looked up and froze. It was him, the guy from yesterday. The well-dressed one. Vanessa's ex, or whatever he was. I gave him a polite nod. "Oh hey, you're in the same major as Vanessa?" He didn't answer. Just stared at me, brows knit together. "You're really with Vanessa?" "Yeah." His expression tightened. "You don't even know who she is. She flashes some cash and you just sign up to be her boyfriend?" "Yeah." "You seriously have no shame? No dignity?" I blinked. Was I the one being weird here? "Do you even hear yourself right now?" I asked. What kind of lunatic gives up money just to protect their dignity? His face twisted, then reset like he was trying not to lose it. He exhaled sharply, shifting tactics. "Look, man, I'm just trying to help. She's wild, okay? Drinks. Smokes. Parties hard. She's..." Before he could finish that sentence, my fist crashed into his nose. He stumbled back, hands flying up to his face. I shook out my hand, calm as ever. "I'm just trying to help too," I said. "Don't talk shit about my girlfriend again." "Thanks." Blood trickled down from his nose as he shouted, "What the hell is wrong with you?" I pointed a finger at him. "Don't even think about stealing my job. I don't know what kind of divine blessing landed me this gig, but I'm not giving it up. Try to take it from me, and I'll go down swinging." His eyes narrowed, bewildered. "What job? What the hell are you talking about?" "Who's talking about jobs?" came Vanessa's voice, smooth and amused, as she reappeared from the back door, heels clicking across the floor. I immediately switched gears, ducked my head, softened my tone. "No one." She looked from him to me, eyebrows drawn tight. What are you doing talking to my boyfriend? Then she turned to me. Did you hit him? Nope. He tried to hit me. I dodged. He accidentally slammed himself into the floor. Vanessa raised one perfectly shaped brow. I tugged at her sleeve, doing my best to look heartbroken. It's okay, baby. Don't be mad at him. Sure, he said I was spineless and money hungry, but I know he didn't mean it. She gave the guy a long, withering look. Jealous already? Wow. Should have moved faster. Then she slid her arm through mine, gently brushing my hair back with her hand like she was soothing a child. There. Don't listen to him. Later, I'm taking you shopping. As crazy as you want. My treat. I almost looked up to ask, are we talking real shopping? Like, actual purchases? And if so, could we maybe just do cash instead? But before the words even left my lips, Vanessa pressed my head back down with a graceful little nudge, like she'd read my mind. Gross, the guy spat, clutching his nose. You two are disgusting. And with that, he stormed off. Vanessa let go of me and rolled her eyes. All right, cut the act. You're way too good at this. I straightened up, full of pride. Standing up for my girlfriend, that's part of the job. I dropped down into the seat beside her, still watching that guy's back retreat into the crowd. Seriously, what did he do to piss you off that bad? Vanessa gave him one last glare. What didn't he do? He hooked up with some 50-year-old sugar mama and cheated on me. I blinked. Wait, you got cheated on? But you're hot. You've got money. Why would he go after someone like that? He's blind, she muttered, then leaned in to spill the real story. I'd never dated anyone before him. He chased me for months, until I finally caved. Figured, why not give it a try, right? We were together, 1 month. Then suddenly, he starts hinting that his birthday's coming up. Constantly talking about some limited edition sneakers. She gave me a pointed look. They were like $5,000. I thought it was a tacky ask, so I passed. Didn't want to give him something that felt that cheap. Instead, I went all out and ordered a car as a surprise. I nearly choked. A car? But on his birthday, she continued. He ghosted me. Poof. Disappeared. Someone saw him that night all snuggled up with a woman old enough to be his mom. I stared, jaw slightly open. When he finally showed up again, she said, eyes flashing, he actually had the nerve to tell me that if I wouldn't buy him things, plenty of other women would. Then he said people like me shouldn't be dating if we can't afford to invest properly, that I was wasting his time. I whistled low under my breath. And I lost it, she said, shaking her head. Call me anything you want, but broke? That I don't let slide. Suddenly, it all made sense. How I ended up in this highly compensated position. Vanessa sighed. What a waste of my first relationship. I reached out and patted her shoulder with exaggerated sincerity. It's okay, babe. You've got me now. I promise, I'll give you a luxury-grade dating experience. She gave me a side glance, amused. Keep doing well and maybe this little arrangement of ours can last a year. Maybe longer. And so it went. For the next few weeks, anytime I wasn't in class, I was by Vanessa's side, playing chauffeur, note-taker, therapist, bodyguard, and occasionally, pillow. Then I'd rush back to my department, barely making it in time for my own lectures. 2 lives. 1 paycheck. No complaints. But Tuesdays? Tuesdays were brutal. Vanessa had an early morning class on South Campus, and my own class in the afternoon was all the way over on North Campus. The two were practically on opposite ends of the earth. I'd spend the whole day zigzagging across campus with barely enough time to eat. Most weeks, I ended up in my afternoon lecture with an empty stomach, my gut growling loud enough to echo off the walls. Sitting in class, clutching my notes and quietly suffering, I couldn't help but think, I really had gotten soft. A few weeks of good food, warm mornings, and cushy payments, and suddenly hunger felt unfamiliar. But I'd grown up with it. No parents. Just government programs, food stamps, waived tuition, and a relentless string of part-time jobs to scrape my way into college. In my world, choices were scarce. Money was everything. All through university, every spare minute had been spent working or heading to work. Dating wasn't just a low priority, it was non-existent. People called me cold. Distant. But the truth? I just didn't have time to prove otherwise. "Hey, is this seat taken?" A soft voice pulled me out of my thoughts. I looked up, and nearly flinched. Lillian. The girl I accidentally called babe in front of half the campus. Of course not. I shifted over quickly, giving her room. She sat down gracefully, like nothing had ever happened. That morning must have been awkward for her. I'd never explained myself, just vanished like a coward after making a scene. Guess I owed her something. "Sorry about the mix-up the other day," I offered, keeping my voice low. "It wasn't intentional. Just a really weird misunderstanding." She smiled, brushing it off. "Don't worry. I'm not here because of that. I had some free time today, thought I'd crash your lecture and get some review in." She hesitated for a moment, then glanced at me sideways. "But, how do you confuse your girlfriend with someone else? Had you two never met before?" I laughed nervously and reached for the first half-truth I could find. "No, we've met. It was love at first sight. Like, cosmic, movie scene stuff. We started dating immediately." I shrugged. "But the first meeting was kinda short, and I guess, after a night's sleep, the details got fuzzy. No way was I telling her the truth. That my girlfriend pays me a six-figure allowance for her boyfriend." "I see." Lillian turned slightly in her seat, her dark eyes locking onto mine. "Well, that's a shame," she said softly. "If you'd looked my way a little sooner, maybe this face would have been the one you fell for." Huh. It took me a second to process what she'd said. I'd known of Lillian for a while. She was practically the face of our department, always speaking at student events, representing us in competitions. But me? I was just the guy sprinting between shifts, skimming the edges of campus life. We'd never really crossed paths, and I never imagined she even knew my name. "I remember you used to turn down everyone," she continued. "At least 2 or 3 of my classmates tried asking you out. You shot them all down. I figured you were just laser-focused on your studies. But now I get it, you just hadn't met the right person yet." "Yeah, haha." I nodded along, keeping my expression casual, though my mind was screaming. Right person? Try right price tag. Falling in love? No. I fell into a paycheck. But who could resist that kind of money? After that, Lillian didn't say much else. She shifted her focus to the lecture. Every now and then, when she caught me squinting at a confusing slide, she leaned over to explain in a low voice. And I'll give her this, Lillian was sharp. No wonder she was always selected for those academic competitions. Her explanations were clear, efficient, and surprisingly easy to follow. I got so wrapped up in listening that I didn't even realize class had ended. That is, until a voice like acid-laced honey interrupted us. "Getting your girlfriends mixed up again?" I looked up, Vanessa. She stood there, arms crossed, lips curled into a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Lillian glanced up from her notes and offered a polite smile. "Not at all. Just helping him with the lecture." "Oh?" Vanessa's voice was cool, her fingers twirling a neatly wrapped sandwich. Well, babe, you can pick up where you left off next time. I brought you lunch. I blinked. Right, she was holding out a sandwich. Thanks for today, I told Lillian as I stood up, slinging my backpack over one shoulder. She lifted her brows, smiling easily. Catch you later, then. On the way back to the dorm, Vanessa said nothing. Her face was tight, her steps sharp. I cleared my throat, trying to lift the mood. That was really sweet of you, bringing me lunch like that. Did you already eat? How was it? That was all I got. Just, Yeah, I was officially out of my depth. Even someone like me, someone not particularly in tune with emotional shifts, could tell. Vanessa was jealous. I had no idea what to do. Desperate, I pulled out my phone and quietly typed into YouTube. How to comfort a jealous girlfriend. The top result read. Be clear and honest, reassure her that she holds a unique, irreplaceable place in your heart. Then take the initiative, show care, and do something to make her happy. I was just reading that line when Vanessa suddenly stopped walking. Her voice was sharp. What are you sneaking a look at? Nothing. I quickly locked my phone and slid it into my pocket. Her expression darkened. She inhaled slowly, her jaw tensing, brows drawn tight. I recognized that look. She was seconds from blowing up. And my very well-paid position was on the line. So I jumped into damage control, following the advice word for word. I just ran into Lillian by chance. I swear, we barely know each other. Don't overthink it. You're the only one who matters to me. You're irreplaceable. And it was true. No one else on earth would pay me $100,000 a month. Vanessa's expression softened, just a little. She tilted her chin up, skeptical. Then what were you hiding on your phone? I hesitated, but then held it out. She took it, scrolled briefly, and her lips curled, not into a smirk, but close. So you did know I was jealous? I nodded. Kind of hard not to. You weren't exactly subtle. Her eyes narrowed. You're my boyfriend. Watching you sit next to her, smiling, saying, see you next time, that didn't exactly feel great. I'm not paying $100,000 a month just to get cheated on again. I bowed my head a little, admitting defeat. That was my bad. I'm sorry. She crossed her arms. Okay, and what now? Huh? Didn't that video say something about doing something nice for me? Oh. Yeah. Right. What do you want me to do? She lifted her chin, commanding. Open your camera. I unlocked the app. She took my phone, called over some random passing student, whispered something to him, then slid back beside me. Her hand, pale, slender, and decisive, landed casually on my shoulder. Smile for the camera. We snapped a few photos together. She checked them, swiped a few times, then gave a nod of approval. Not thrilled. Not mad. Just, satisfied. I looked at Vanessa and offered. Do you want me to post the pictures? Make it official? She gave a satisfied little smirk, her brows finally relaxing. Good. At least you know how to behave. Then she looped her arm through mine again and tugged me forward. No rush. You should go eat lunch first, your stomach's been growling non-stop. One more growl and it's just rude. I flushed and rubbed my stomach. I hadn't realized she'd noticed. The moment I got back to my dorm, I didn't even touch my food right away. I pulled out my phone and posted the photos to Instagram. Caption? Just 3 words, my girlfriend. By the time I finished eating, my comments were blowing up. When did this happen? Wait, isn't your girlfriend that rich CS girl? Bro hit the jackpot, don't forget us when you're rich. I thought you were all about the grind. I am grinding. Just, in a different way now. Vanessa didn't comment, but she did like the post. She didn't share it on her own page, and honestly, I didn't expect her to. But still, it left me thinking. Clearly, my lack of dating experience was starting to show. And that might have been affecting her customer experience. I needed to get better. For her. For the job. So I made up my mind, time to study. Time to learn how to be a better boyfriend. Just as I opened another tab, the dorm room door burst open with a loud bang. My two roommates, one tall, one short, stormed in like I'd committed a federal crime. You're dating and we had to find out from Instagram? Who asked who out? How did it start? Are you holding hands yet? Kissing? Details, now. I stared at them, stunned, then spent the next 3 minutes explaining, more or less, the whole situation. When I finished, they just stood there, frozen. Wait. $100,000? Every month? Are you sure this isn't a scam? Dylan asked, eyes wide. Did you sign a contract? Ryan added, frowning. I shrugged. No contract. But the money's already in my account. You idiot, Ryan said flatly. That money could totally be pulled back. I'm calling my girlfriend, she's in law school. She'll help draft a proper contract. He was already out the door mid-call before I could respond. Dylan and I looked at each other in stunned silence. A few minutes later, Ryan returned, triumphant. We're going to print out a contract. Tonight. Get her to sign it. Dylan looked hesitant. I mean, will she really try to take the money back? My girlfriend's in her class. Says she's loaded. Every time we've bumped into her, she's driving a different luxury car. Ryan shook his head, firm. Doesn't matter. This is 10 grand times 10, every month. We're not messing around. Let's go, printer's still open. I thought about it. Yeah, maybe it was time to get things in writing. So the three of us headed straight to the print shop, got the contract made, and I slipped it into the back pocket of my backpack. Dylan frowned, eyeing me up and down. Dude, you're making $100K a month, and you still look like you're living off gas station hot dogs. Ryan nodded. Seriously. Your hoodie's older than my little cousin. Why don't we grab you some new clothes and a decent backpack while we're out? I glanced down at my scuffed-up bag. I mean, we're all students. As long as it holds books, what's the problem? Ryan scoffed. Vanessa's friends are all trust fund kids. You don't have to show off, but at least look like someone she'd date. Give her some face. I paused, then nodded. You've got a point. We caught a ride to the mall. Predictably, within 30 minutes, they had already conned me into spending a small fortune. A few hours later, we emerged from the shopping center carrying enough bags to look like we just robbed a boutique. My credit card was whimpering. My soul, too. We'd barely walked a block when Dylan leaned in and whispered, left side. Isn't that Vanessa? Who's that guy with her? You just went public and she's already cheating? I turned to glance, trying to act casual. Vanessa, heels clicking furiously, was striding ahead with her usual don't mess with me energy. The guy behind her was tall, broad-shouldered, and hauling several shopping bags like a personal assistant. I couldn't get a clear look at his face. Ryan rolled up his sleeves. Yup, that's her. And she's walking straight toward us? Nah. We can't just let this slide. I know a side alley with no security cameras. Wait, no, I cut him off, grabbing his arm in a panic. I yanked a pair of sunglasses and a baseball cap out of a shopping bag, threw them on, and hunched over like a spy in a bad movie. Change of plan. We leave. Quietly. Now. Don't let her see me. I shoved them both toward a nearby luxury boutique, practically dragging them through the door like we were on the run. Peeking through the store window, I watched as Vanessa passed by, completely unaware. Crisis averted. Ryan yanked me back from the window and snatched off my shades, looking completely exasperated. Okay, I gotta ask, who's cheating here? 'Cause you're acting like you just got caught. Why are you the one running? Of course it's her, I hissed. But I can't let her know I know. What if she flips out and dumps me? Where am I gonna find another girlfriend who pays me $100,000 a month? Are you gonna fund that lifestyle? Ryan stared at me, stunned. Then slowly raised a thumb in admiration. Fair. That's some next-level thinking, man. My bad. So the three of us loitered in the boutique like awkward window mannequins until closing time. Only when we were sure Vanessa was long gone did we finally sneak out and head home. The moment I got back to the dorm, a message from Vanessa lit up my phone. Did you go out today? Absolutely not. Nope. I replied instantly. For $100,000 a month? No way I'd admit anything, even if she caught me red-handed, I'd go full denial. Anyway, our relationship had been deepening lately. Sometimes, if she woke up early enough, she'd be waiting for me downstairs. Just like today. As I stepped out of the building, I saw her standing beneath a ginkgo tree, black hair swaying gently in the breeze. Golden leaves framed her like she belonged in a movie. Morning, babe. I called out cheerfully. Vanessa looked up casually, but the moment her eyes landed on me, something shifted. A tiny pause. A faint blush. You changed your hair. I grinned. Looking good? She gave a barely audible I slipped an arm around her shoulders, easy and smooth. Glad you like it. But the second I touched her, her whole arm tensed. She turned her head stiffly, avoiding my eyes. Had I gone too far? I was just about to pull back when her phone rang. Vanessa glanced down, clearly reluctant, and picked up. What is it? She said curtly. Vanessa, came a man's voice on the other end, soft, sweet, and practically dripping with honey. Her speaker was on. I don't know if it was by accident, but the voice came through crystal clear. The air between us turned thick. Awkward didn't even begin to cover it. I figured she might want some privacy. I'll just run back upstairs real quick, I mumbled. Forgot something. And I did. The contract Ryan drafted was still in my bag. I jogged back up to the dorm, grabbed the papers, then hovered near the hallway window, watching from a distance as Vanessa ended her call. She looked different now, storm cloud hanging over her head, jaw tight, eyes unreadable. We walked in silence. Heavy silence. I could tell something was off. I was just slow to realize what. Maybe it was the way I spoke up earlier. Had I interrupted something? Was my voice what triggered her mood shift? Panic crept in. Should I have stepped away sooner? Made an excuse? Maybe I should have jumped in and helped her lie. I could have been a classmate, a cousin, a twin brother, whatever helped smooth things over. Come on, Vanessa. You can drop $10,000 a week, but you can't improvise a basic cover story? During class, Vanessa sat in complete silence. Meanwhile, I was squirming in my seat like a kettle about to boil over. Come on, I thought. Take out your phone. Say something sweet. Flirt. Flinch. Anything. Men aren't supposed to be this hard to win over. But the whole hour ticked by, and she said nothing. Finally, she turned to me with an irritated whisper, "Why are you twitching like that?" I forced a smile. New haircut. Feels weird. She narrowed her eyes and stared at me for a beat. Then leaned in, her voice low but sharp. That guy who called me earlier? You're not even a little jealous? Do you actually see me as some emotionless ATM? The truth? I wasn't jealous. For $100 a month, I could emotionally digest the entire Sahara Desert. But I knew the drill. Good boyfriends are supposed to get jealous. Of course I'm jealous, I said, shameless. Show me, she challenged. I reached out and gave her arm a gentle, theatrical punch. You heartless woman, I whined dramatically. How could you? I love you so much, and you're out here holding hands with strange men, laughing on the phone like I don't exist. As I spoke, I dug through my bag. Since you've been bad, your punishment is to sign this. I slid the printed contract across her lap. Vanessa froze. For a few long seconds, she just stared at it. Then, without a word, she grabbed a pen, signed it swiftly, and handed it back with a stone-cold expression. You've really got some nerve, she muttered. And just like that. She was actually mad. She wouldn't let me walk her to class. Wouldn't return my texts. She even started walking around campus with random guys, shoulder to shoulder. And every damn time, I managed to run right into her. At first, I tried confronting it. Then I gave up and switched to survival mode. Hat. Mask. Sunglasses. As soon as I spotted her from a distance, I'd duck out of sight like a fugitive on the run. I dragged Ryan and Dylan into the madness too. Our dorm life turned into a daily mission, avoid detection at all costs. I racked my brain for days. Should I get her roses? Spell out sorry in LED candles? Write her some heartfelt apology letter? I couldn't decide, and desperation started to win. So I sent her a message. Just a simple one, asking if we could talk. If she said yes, great. If not, then maybe it was time to let this whole thing go. I'd made decent money. But I couldn't keep living like a fugitive in my own college. Hours passed. Night rolled in. And then finally, Vanessa replied. She sent me a location. A bar. When I arrived outside, I gave her a call. But the voice that answered wasn't hers. You Vanessa's boyfriend? A girl asked on the line. Come in, she's had too much. Inside, the music was deafening. Bass thumping, lights flashing. The place was packed wall to wall with 20-somethings dressed like it was their last night on Earth. I had barely stepped in when a group of girls waved me over. She's over here, Vanessa. I didn't recognize any of them. No clue how they knew who I was. I walked over and found Vanessa slouched in a velvet booth, arm draped lazily over her eyes, revealing only her sharp jawline and crimson lips. She's been drinking non-stop, one of the girls said. Did you guys fight or something? She's been like this for days. Yeah, another chimed in, Vanessa's really into you. Don't hold it against her, okay? She's been hung up on you. Their words came one after another, stacking into a chorus that left me standing there awkwardly, unsure what to say. I crouched beside the booth, gently brushing her hand away from her forehead and whispering. Hey, you okay? Vanessa stirred, her brows knitting as she grabbed my wrist. Her voice was hoarse but unmistakable. Didn't you used to call me baby every day? The music shifted, sudden silence during a transition. Perfect timing. Everyone nearby heard her loud and clear. Aw, that's so sweet. Look at her, quiet all night and now she's suddenly poetic. The teasing came in waves. Vanessa groaned, snatched a throw pillow, and tossed it half-heartedly in their direction. Shut up already, she muttered, rubbing her temples as she struggled to stand. She wobbled. I stepped in close and offered, let me take you home. She nodded faintly. One arm looped around my shoulders for balance. Her steps were shaky. I couldn't take it anymore. In one swift motion, I scooped her into my arms. She didn't protest, just leaned her head against me, soft and quiet. I grabbed her keys, slid into the driver's seat of her car, and followed the GPS to the address she'd given me. We pulled up in front of a house. No, a villa. And it was massive. I helped Vanessa out of the car, her steps still unsteady. "Anyone else home?" I asked. She mumbled, "No." I hesitated. Looking at her, barely able to stand straight, it didn't feel right to leave her alone. Inside, the house was dark. Only the moonlight slipping through the tall windows gave me any clue of the layout: 2 floors, multiple doors, a sense of quiet that bordered on eerie. I whispered, "Where's your bedroom?" "I'll just sleep on the couch," she muttered. "No way," I said, gently stopping her. "I've already brought you home. You should rest properly." Vanessa lowered her head and leaned into my chest, pulling me a little closer. Even in the dim light, I could see the shimmer in her eyes, like stars reflected on water. Rubbing her forehead lightly against me, she whispered, "Maybe I'm just your ATM, but I'm still a girl. Don't you feel anything for me? Or am I just not pretty enough?" Her scent, light, warm, unmistakably her, wrapped around me in the quiet. My heart pounded. I quickly looked away. "You're beautiful," I said, awkwardly. She smiled faintly. "Then sit with me. Just for a minute." With a gentle push, she had me seated on the couch. Then she curled up against me, her head resting on my chest. "I've just been in a bad mood. Comfort me, will you?" Vanessa rarely spoke this softly. It threw me off. I sat there, frozen, unsure what to do. After a long pause, I finally muttered, "Don't be sad." She laughed. A soft, breathy laugh that rose from her chest, and I felt every ripple of it through where she leaned against me. It made my whole chest buzz. "You seriously don't know how to comfort someone," she said. "This is the service I'm paying for?" "I'm learning," I said, defeated. Just as the words left my mouth, her phone buzzed, loud and abrupt. She pulled it out, glanced at the screen, then handed it to me. "Pick it up." I looked down. Charles. A man's name. I froze. Was this another situation I was supposed to handle? She must have sensed my panic. "Relax," she said. "That's my dad. Just tell him I'm asleep." I swallowed and answered the call. "Hello? Vanessa's already asleep. I'll ask her to call you back in the morning, if that's okay." A pause. Then, a calm but direct voice on the other end. "You're her boyfriend?" I blinked, caught off guard. The voice on the phone wasn't just any man. It was the same one who had called Vanessa that night, the soft, affectionate Vanessa I'd overheard on speaker. I glanced at her. She was resting her chin on my shoulder, smiling like this was the most entertaining thing in the world. She didn't say a word. So I had no choice but to push through. "Yes, I'm her boyfriend." Well, the voice said, warm with surprise. "Vanessa didn't tell me she's dating." "How old are you? Are you at the same school?" And just like that, I was swept into a 20-minute interrogation. Name. Age. Major. Hometown. GPA. Family background. The works. When I told him I had no parents, there was a noticeable pause on the other end. "I see," he said after a moment. "You must have had a rough life." I shrugged. It wasn't so bad. Eventually, I found a polite excuse and ended the call. I turned to Vanessa. "He's really gentle. Why didn't you answer yourself?" Her smile faltered a little. "I don't know. Is that why you've been in a bad mood? You had a fight with him?" "No. We didn't fight. She gave a bitter smile. It was my dad's birthday. And my mom's death anniversary. Same day. I blinked. That's not something your dad could have chosen, though. I know. It's not a fair reason to be angry. Vanessa lowered her eyes. Ethan. I used to be a kid with no parents, too. I looked around the villa, even in the dark, the wealth was obvious. No way. You mean adopted? No. When I was in elementary school, my mom got really sick. We had no money for treatment. My dad divorced her and left. She died not long after. Just like that, I had no parents. Her voice stayed calm, almost too calm. Then in high school, my dad came back. My stepmother's wealthy, but she can't have kids. So he came to find me, asked me to move in. She paused, drawing a slow breath. His birthday was a few days ago. He doesn't know it falls on the same day my mom died. I've never told him. She smiled sadly. But when I look at him, I can't help but think, if he hadn't walked away, maybe my mom would have lived longer. My stepmom treats me like her own daughter. My dad's tried everything to make up for what he did. But there's still this thorn. Every time I try to get close to him, it just digs in deeper. She turned to me. Her voice was soft. Do you ever resent your parents? No, I answered without hesitation. Life's too short to live inside resentment. She was quiet, watching me. I added, some people complain about having no shoes. But somewhere out there, someone has no legs. I've got mine. What's there I can't climb over? Vanessa stared at me, something unreadable in her gaze. You're nothing like I imagined, she whispered. So what did you imagine I was like? I asked. Vanessa tilted her head lazily against my shoulder. Every time I saw you on campus, you looked like someone who just lost a lawsuit to the whole world. I rolled my eyes. Of course. Try juggling 3 part-time jobs and still smiling. Everyone does owe me money. Then be a good employee, she murmured, snuggling closer. Read me a bedtime story. Help me fall asleep. That's overtime, I replied. Gonna need bonus pay. Still, despite my complaining, I opened my mouth and started reading, some old fairy tale I barely remembered. My voice softened, slowed. The words blurred. As I drifted, the night got heavier. Somewhere between waking and dreaming, I heard Vanessa's voice, soft, almost unsure. I think I might kinda like you. Maybe we should try dating for real? Half asleep, I muttered back, gotta pay for that. She laughed. 200,000. I shook my head groggily. That's not the price of a girlfriend. What? For 200 grand, you're not just my girlfriend anymore. You're officially promoted to mom and dad. Lifetime care. Emotional support. I'll even do your taxes. Forget I said anything. Wait, we can negotiate. 150. Meet me halfway. Then her voice vanished, leaving only the sound of my own mumbling. You still there? Shut up and sleep. K. By morning, Vanessa was sore all over, groaning as she rolled out of bed. I ushered her into the car and we sped toward campus. She winced, rubbing her lower back. You were holding on to me like a damn seatbelt last night. My spine's gone. I tried not to sound guilty. I just didn't want you to fall off. That's all. Protective instinct. She scoffed. Protective? You were squeezing like you were trying to make sure I never wake up again. Fine, I won't hold you next time. No, wait, don't be like that, she said quickly. Tell you what, I'll make it up to you. I'll transfer the full year's payment in advance. I perked up immediately. Then froze. Wait, aren't you graduating in 6 months? Vanessa leaned back, smug. So what? Maybe I feel like sticking around. Grad school's a thing, you know. I rubbed my chin, pretending to think. In that case, maybe I should consider taking a gap year. Flunk a class or two. Just to stay close. She shot me a tired side eye. You seriously have no shame. Do you ever stop scheming? I grinned. Why would I? Visionary thinking's a lifestyle. We reached campus, and I rushed toward my building. Inside the classroom, only one seat was left. The moment I sat down, I felt it, 2 laser-sharp glares stabbing into the back of my head. I turned. Ryan and Dylan. They were staring at me like I'd just let the whole team down. Disappointed. Betrayed. The silent judgment was loud. Yesterday, I'd told them I was going to talk to Vanessa. Then I left, and never responded again. No texts. No updates. Nothing. And since I hadn't come back to the dorm all night. Yeah. I could see how they might have jumped to conclusions. After 2 painfully long hours of class, the second the bell rang, Ryan and Dylan dragged me back to the dorm and sat me down like it was an intervention. We need to talk, Ryan said, deadly serious. Look, if Vanessa's lost interest, let her go. We know you've got financial stress, but don't use your body to keep a woman. That's not the way, man. You're heading down a dark path. We're worried about you. Nothing happened. I cut in, practically panicking before they said something even more dramatic. She was drunk. I just took her home. Ryan narrowed his eyes. Nothing at all happened? I hesitated. I carried her. And was that consensual? It was, like, half consensual. She kinda leaned in, and I just didn't let go. They both stared at me, stone-faced. Then Dylan frowned. Hold on. Are you catching feelings? What? No. Don't be ridiculous. I turned away. But I couldn't lie, not even to myself. Yeah. Maybe a little. Okay, maybe more than a little. In less than 6 months, my patron's preferences notebook had turned into a full-blown encyclopedia. Every page was crammed with details: what she liked to eat, drink, watch, wear, listen to. The names of her friends. Her dad's quirks. Her moods. I had mastered the role of boyfriend. No, I embodied it. I followed the boyfriend code like gospel, always attentive, never intrusive. My job was to make sure she was happy, even before she asked. And oddly enough, the only things that ever sparked tension between us were when I gave her too much space. On weekends, I'd sometimes go over to her villa. Because she'd started asking me to cook for her. So I, of course, started teaching myself how to cook. From scratch. Fortunately, my hard work didn't go to waste. One evening, Vanessa's father dropped by the villa, and thanks to the hours I'd spent perfecting my cooking, I managed to win him over with nothing more than a well-executed dinner. That night, it hit me. Somehow, somewhere along the way, I'd become fully immersed in Vanessa's world. If not for the 7-figure balance sitting in my bank account, I might have forgotten entirely that this started as a paid arrangement. Last week, when I didn't have class, Vanessa insisted I go with her to a smaller villa outside the city. While waiting for her at the school gate, I happened to witness a rather awkward reunion, with her long-lost first love. He wasn't alone. Standing beside him was a woman who looked old enough to be his mother, and might very well have been someone's grandmother. She shot us a look like we just tracked dirt into a 5-star hotel, then climbed, very smugly, into a convertible sports car. The engine revved obnoxiously as they pulled away. "My bike's worth more than that piece of junk," Vanessa muttered. "Come on, Ethan. hold on tight." Before I could reply, she gunned the throttle and we roared off on her motorcycle. I held onto her waist, her thin t-shirt the only thing between my hands and the soft curve beneath. "Your tummy's kind of cute," I said, smirking. She shot me a glare over her shoulder. "Can you not grope me?" I quickly let go. "Sorry." Then I turned my head, just in time to spot the convertible awkwardly stalled in the middle of the road. No driver in sight. Looked like the car had broken down. Vanessa eased off the gas, caught the scene, and I immediately understood the plan. "Adrian," I called sweetly as we cruised by, "you take your time, yeah? We'll be going on ahead. Bye now." Vanessa grinned and revved it up again, roaring down the road. As the trees blurred past us, wind in my hair, arms wrapped around my millionaire girlfriend's waist, one thought floated into my mind. My sugar girlfriend? Kinda badass. Back at her place, we collapsed onto her bedroom carpet, surrounded by snacks, projecting a horror movie from her phone onto the big screen. She loved scary movies. Correction, she hated scary movies. But she loved the thrill of being terrified. Half an hour in, she was trembling in my arms like a frightened kitten. Right as the creepiest scene of the film started building, comment section full of warnings, Vanessa clung to my arm, eyes wide, unblinking, bracing for the inevitable jump scare. Just then, 2 notifications lit up Vanessa's phone screen. "I'm in the hospital. Can you come take care of me?" The entire mood shifted. Even the twisted ghost face frozen on the movie screen couldn't pull my attention back. I stared at those words, heart pounding. After a long silence, thinking of balance in my account, I hesitated. "Do you want me to go to the hospital? Take care of him for you?" Vanessa slowly unhooked her hands from around me. "Sure," she said coldly. "Go ahead. Pack your things. Be ready to spoon-feed him tomorrow. God forbid you earn this money without guilt." "Okay," I mumbled. "I'll start prepping." I slipped out quietly and headed to the mall, buying a few essentials. Toiletries, snacks, slippers, whatever people bring for hospital stays. Halfway through, my head started spinning. I wasn't even sure what I was picking up anymore. I stood in the middle of a bright, crowded shopping mall, holding bags full of God knows what, staring into nothing. "Ethan?" I blinked, looked up. Lillian stood in front of me. She looked me up and down, frowning slightly. "What's all that?" "It's for a friend," I said vaguely. "Did Ryan get hospitalized?" I shook my head, dizzy. "No. Not Ryan. It's Vanessa's boyfriend." She blinked. "Aren't you her boyfriend? Did you guys break up?" "No," I said quietly. "We didn't break up. I just have to take care of her other boyfriend. In the hospital." Lillian stared at me. For a long time, she didn't say anything. Then she gently pulled me over to a bench and sat with me while I unraveled, emotionally and verbally, for 30 minutes. She let me vent. Ramble. Repeat myself. Eventually, the knot in my chest began to loosen. She looked at me carefully. "Feeling a little better?" "Yeah." I kept my head down, suddenly embarrassed by everything I'd said. By how messy I sounded. By how true it all was. Thankfully, Lillian didn't pry. She just walked silently beside me, her presence calm and steady. "Want me to walk you home?" she asked softly. I was about to say no. But then I saw her. Just beyond the crowd, under a street lamp, a familiar silhouette moved through the golden light. Vanessa. I couldn't be sure. But I felt it. Beside me, the streetlight cast a soft glow across Lillian's face, making her look even gentler than usual. "If Vanessa's not right for you," she said, "maybe you could consider me." I looked down at the bags in my hand. My knuckles were white from gripping too tight. I bit my lip. Actually, Vanessa's been good to me, I said quietly. Even if she wanted me to care for her other lover, she'd still been good to me. Or maybe not good. Maybe just different. Lillian gave a polite, distant smile. I figured. And I respect that. That was Lillian, always gentle, always kind, always knowing when to step back. But what surprised me most was how much that whole exchange clarified something inside me. That ache in my chest. That strange, selfish sting when I read those texts. That feeling when she let go of my hand. I realized it then. I might have actually fallen for Vanessa. Even now, knowing full well I was just one of many choices in Vanessa's life, I could only say. The money? If anything, I felt more entitled to it than ever. When I arrived at the villa that night, she was already asleep. I stood at the doorway, quietly watching the slight flutter of her dark eyelashes as she drifted through her dreams. I didn't know how many times I'd found myself staring at her like this, absently, almost helplessly. I took a deep breath and stepped out of the room. This was always a transaction. There was no reason to be angry. But that outburst earlier? Maybe it came from some small, long-buried part of me finally collapsing in silence. The next morning, I carried the bags, big and small, and took Vanessa to the hospital. To visit her little boyfriend. We stopped at the doorway of the hospital room. Vanessa suddenly paused. "You go in first," she said. "I'll be right there." I nodded and walked in alone. There he was. Resting on the bed. About 28, maybe. Same guy I saw at the mall that day. I tiptoed forward and gently placed the bags down. Still, the noise must have stirred him. He slowly sat up, frowning slightly. "You?" I felt a bitter taste in my mouth. "Hi," I greeted politely and began pouring him a cup of water. "She'll be here in a bit. Asked me to take care of you first." He tried to sit up straighter, waving his hand. No, don't worry about me. You're a guest, I can't let you do that." "It's all right," I said with a forced smile. "You just focus on getting better." I moved around the room, quietly setting things up. Might as well treat this like a side hustle. A private nurse gig. 10 grand a month. Could be worse. Just as I was fluffing a pillow, the door opened. A woman I'd never seen before walked in, elegant, confident. She strode straight to the bed and threw her arms around the man. "Oh my God, how are you feeling? Still hurting?" He kissed her on the cheek. "Much better now, babe." I stood there, stunned. Wait, what? What the hell was going on? Who exactly was getting played here? Was this what rich people did for fun? If you're going to cheat, at least do it behind someone's back. I was just about to say something, probably something unwise, when Vanessa walked in, arms full of health supplements. On the bed, the two were still cuddled up like a holiday card. The guy turned to us with a calm smile. "Oh good, Vanessa's here." Then he looked straight at her and said, "Seriously though, how could you send your boyfriend to take care of me and not come yourself?" "I'm here now, aren't I?" Vanessa said, unbothered. "Besides, he insisted on taking care of you." I couldn't stop him. I blinked. "What?" Vanessa walked over to me and gestured casually. "Ethan, this is my brother, Marcus. And that's his wife, Sophia." That night, I drove Vanessa home. The moment we stepped through the front door, I reached over and gave her cheek a playful squeeze. "You messing with me on purpose?" She smacked my hand away and shot back, "Messing with you how? You wanted to take care of him, didn't you? I just gave you the chance. What's wrong with that? You knew I thought he was your My what? She tilted her head, fingers trailing lightly across my chest. Her voice turned teasing. My boyfriend? Isn't that you? You knew I misunderstood. Why didn't you just tell me? You? With that big old heart of yours? You were ready to play nurse for my lover. What's left to misunderstand? She paused. Besides, I figured you had your little Lillian to keep you company. I scoffed, stepping away. Whatever. You're the boss. I'm not arguing with you. She moved in front of me, blocking my path. Well, she said, I don't want to be your boss anymore. What, you're firing me? I'm offering everything I own, she said, voice low and steady, in exchange for marrying me. How's that sound? I blurted, you wish. You're just a student, how much could you possibly own? Vanessa burst out laughing. Excuse me, 10 grand a month for 30 years? That makes me your boss for life. What, your standards suddenly went up? I swallowed, thinking about all those zeros in my bank account. But I caught myself. No, I said. It's too soon. I haven't even graduated. I don't have a job yet. For all you know, I might end up richer than you someday. Vanessa swung one leg over and settled into my lap, her forehead pressed to mine, eyes pulling me in like gravity. Then, she whispered, I want the title of girlfriend. Her gaze was too intense, too close. I looked away, heat rising in my face. Aren't you already my girlfriend? Not just in name. She leaned in again, her lips brushing the tip of my nose, voice barely above a breath. I want to be your girlfriend for real. Like, this. A wave of warmth bloomed through me as her lips met mine, and just like that. My mind went completely, utterly blank. It took me a while to come back to my senses. Vanessa, are you serious about this? She gave a soft nod. I am. Then, maybe we give it a shot. Her lips curled into a smile. All right. Let's keep going. Time passed. Vanessa graduated not long after. But instead of joining her father's conglomerate, she dove headfirst into software development. That also meant the financial support from home stopped. Around the same time, my own luck turned, fast. A few stocks I'd bought on a whim started to skyrocket. My bank account grew faster than I could track it. I bought multiple properties in one go and started preparing for grad school while living off the rent. Vanessa made money too, just not at the same scale. And suddenly, I was the one wealthier between us. She became unusually cautious after that. Paranoid, even. Joking, half seriously, that I'd turn around and hire some college girl to play my girlfriend. On the night of our 2-year anniversary, she clung to me a little tighter than usual. Her voice carried a rare hint of insecurity. I'm scared, she whispered. You're young, you're rich, maybe my entire inheritance doesn't mean anything to you anymore. I looked at her and nodded slowly. You're right. It doesn't. She was quiet for a moment, eyes searching mine. Then she said, with a thoughtful tilt of her head, okay, then I'm quitting software. Let me go assess my dad's net worth. If it's worth it, I'll take over the company. What? Vanessa stood up straighter, totally serious. What? If there's that much money just sitting there, why wouldn't I claim it? I couldn't help but laugh, shaking my head. All right. Then I'll hire you to be my girlfriend. That makes me the boss now. And if we're still together in 2 years, we get married. Deal? She didn't hesitate. Deal. And just like that, Vanessa started carrying around a little notebook too, same title as mine. The Patron's Preferences. She wrote in it religiously, every page crammed edge to edge with notes. And somehow, she always knew exactly what I needed before I even opened my mouth. One afternoon, Vanessa was flipping through her little notebook, muttering to herself. Look how serious I've been with this. Way more dedicated than you ever were. Curious, I grabbed it from her hands. And I was stunned. She'd been keeping this thing for over 2 years. Some pages only had a few lines. But each entry, it was like watching her heart unfold, one tiny confession at a time. Turns out I'm not the only one clueless about love. Ethan literally Googled how to comfort a girlfriend today. Our first photo together, why does it feel like I'm the sidekick in it? Waited forever for him to ask if we could go public. He didn't. I finally just posted a picture myself. My heart was racing. Went shopping with Marcus for Dad's birthday gift. Bumped into Ethan. He ducked away and threw on sunglasses like some weirdo. So sketchy. Ethan got a haircut today. Damn. He looked so good. Bad mood all day. And he still made me sign some dumb contract. Seriously? I could have killed him. I've been taking walks around campus just to bump into him, and what does he do? Sees me, panics, and runs. With sunglasses again. Idiot. They're sunglasses, Ethan. Not an invisibility cloak. Finally got to hug him today. Touched his abs. Instantly forgave everything. Was going to confess tonight. Ended up transferring a full year's worth of payment instead. Whatever. Maybe next year. He cooked for me. It was actually really good. I love watching horror movies with him. I get to sneak touches on his abs. He hasn't caught me yet. He's so freaking adorable. When Ethan's not working, his face is kind of grumpy. But when he's with me, that smile, it's my favorite thing in the world. As I flipped further, the rest of the pages were just me. Lines and lines of compliments. Quiet admiration. Observations only someone paying very close attention would notice. Vanessa snatched the book back, cheeks burning crimson. Okay, enough. It didn't feel this embarrassing when I was writing it. She clutched it to her chest like it might vanish. I'm officially renaming it. No more the patron's preferences. From now on, it's my love diary. I raised an eyebrow, smirking. Well, you've read mine. Now let me see yours. I shook my head before she could finish the thought. Absolutely not. Not happening. Don't even try. Because in my notebook, there were only 2 entries that mattered. Wish Vanessa a bright future. Wish Ethan and Vanessa a long, happy life together. After getting into grad school, I decided to invest in a few more properties near campus for convenience. I kept 1 unit for myself and planned to rent out the others. The moment I posted the listings, applications started pouring in. Vanessa spent an entire evening helping me review the potential tenants. Sitting across from her, I scrolled through my phone, eyebrows furrowed. Wait a second, isn't this guy from my intramural basketball team? She paused, then nodded casually. Yeah. I even gave him a discount, on your behalf, of course. I nodded, impressed. Nice. Very thoughtful of you. Then I moved to the next profile. Hey, this one works out with me at the gym, right? Wow, your tenant screening game is solid. These 2 are both pretty good looking, too. I stopped. Something wasn't adding up. I quickly skimmed through the rest of the applications, then pulled up the actual rental listing Vanessa had posted. It read: affordable luxury apartments near campus, now leasing. Looking for high-quality male tenants only. Requirements. Male, age 23 or younger. Height, 5 feet 11 inches, 180 centimeters, or taller. Attractive appearance preferred. Note, all neighboring tenants are young, single women. Move in with peace of mind. I turned my phone toward her slowly. Vanessa, I said, voice flat, what is this? She just smiled sweetly. Just trying to keep the community aesthetic consistent. I stared at her in disbelief. You're building a harem in my apartment complex. She didn't even blink. Correction, our apartment complex. You're welcome. The corner of my mouth twitched. Vanessa. She blinked innocently. What? I did it for you. For me? Are you saying my looks and abs aren't enough to keep your attention? That's cold. Oh please, she started spinning her story fast. I was just trying to build a motivating study environment. Think about it, if I'm surrounded by hot guys at home, I won't need to hit up random clubs for excitement, right? I gave her a look. Do you even believe what you're saying? She shot me a pitiful glance. Well, you never let me touch your abs. Fine. Go ahead. I stood up, grabbed the hem of my t-shirt, and pulled it off in 2 seconds. But once you start, don't think about running away. Vanessa stared at my abs and swallowed hard. And she didn't hold back. Usually she was sneaky about copping a feel, but now that she had full permission, she was all in. The longer she touched, the heavier my breathing became. The air in the room seemed to heat up. Vanessa was still happily poking around like it was some kind of science exhibit until she finally noticed something had shifted. Her fingers froze. Flustered, she let go and shoved my t-shirt at me. Okay, that's enough for today. Put this back on. I caught her wrist before she could back away. In one smooth move, I scooped her up in my arms and headed toward the bedroom. I warned you, I said, voice low. Too late to regret now. You lit the fire, now you're putting it out. By the time we were done, the night was already deep and quiet. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Under Vanessa's watchful gaze, I had no choice but to pull it out and check. Aside from a few rental inquiries, the rest were all from Ryan and Dylan. They'd sent hundreds of messages, each one basically recommending a different gorgeous girl to rent a unit. I replied. Let's talk tomorrow. Just got Vanessa to sleep. Ryan shot back. Bro, we both broke up. You're all we've got now. Then Dylan chimed in. You have to help us. Vanessa leaned over from behind and peeked at my screen. I locked the phone in silence and, suddenly inspired, pulled her into my arms. Despite Vanessa's obvious reluctance, Ryan and Dylan eventually wore her down. And just like that, the pretty tenants moved in. Ryan and Dylan themselves also moved into the complex. Every day they dressed like they were headed to a fashion shoot, heck, even taking out the trash was a red carpet event. Vanessa sulked for a few days, but then Ryan and Dylan pulled her aside for a private chat. I didn't know what they said, but when she came back out, her mood had completely shifted. She even smiled. One afternoon, I was buried in thesis work, slouched on the couch in my sweats, when the doorbell rang. I opened the door, and there stood Lillian. I'd heard she'd already started working. She still looked just as soft-spoken, just as graceful. She froze when she saw me. Wow. Long time no see. I blinked, equally surprised. No kidding. What brings you here, Lillian? She tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear and said. I'm not sure. A friend mentioned the rent was insanely cheap here. And well, she paused for a beat, I happen to meet the criteria. I laughed awkwardly, feeling my dignity disintegrate. Damn it. I knew we shouldn't have written such ridiculous requirements on the ad, must be attractive, fit, under 23, ugh. Just then, the door across the hall creaked open and 2 nosy heads peeked out. Well, Dylan smirked. What brings you here? Came looking for Ethan? No, Lillian said flatly. Just a coincidence. This doesn't concern either of you. I gave them a please shut up kind of look and quickly said. Actually, there's a girl here looking for a roommate. Let me show you the place. And with that, I led Lillian inside, praying the walls wouldn't suddenly start talking. The girl who opened the door was a freshman, barely 18, with porcelain skin and clear, innocent eyes. The only thing was, she was tiny, barely came up to Lillian's chin. "Hi," she greeted sweetly. Lillian gave her a once-over, calm and composed. "Hi." They didn't say much, but you could tell, they were both satisfied with what they saw. That afternoon, Lillian signed the lease and moved in. I did the polite thing and helped her get settled. While I was rearranging boxes and straightening things up, she watched me quietly for a moment before asking. "So, are you and Vanessa still together?" I didn't think much of it. "Yeah. We are." Her hand, halfway through hanging a blouse, froze midair. Her brows furrowed. "Did you really serve her boyfriend?" I blinked, caught off guard. "What?" No. It was a misunderstanding. I got the wrong idea. Of course, even if it hadn't been, I probably still would have done it. "That's good," Lillian said, relaxing slightly. She hesitated, then asked, "I've always wondered, back then, did you really not feel anything for me at all?" I scratched my head and gave an awkward laugh. "Honestly? I think I was already way too deep in with Vanessa. I couldn't see anyone else. Whether I had feelings or not, I really don't remember. All I knew back then was, Vanessa gave me everything. Being around her felt like staring at my bank balance after a surprise windfall. Nothing else in the world could compete with that." Lillian didn't say anything. The silence hung in the air, just long enough to get uncomfortable. Thank God her roommate popped in at just the right moment. "It's already late," the girl said. "Why don't you head home? I can finish the unpacking." "Yeah, you're right. You two take your time. I'll get out of the way." I bailed immediately. But just as I passed the stairwell, I caught a familiar voice. "Vanessa, you better get over here," Ryan was saying. Lillian just moved in, and I literally heard her asking if Ethan ever had feelings for her. "You don't show up now, your man's gonna get snatched." Dylan chimed in right behind him. "Yeah, forget the whole, don't be clingy, thing. If Ethan ends up with Lillian, you'll only have yourself to blame." I cleared my throat loudly. Ahem. Ryan didn't miss a beat. "Yes, Mom, I got it. Talk later, bye." I folded my arms, staring them down. Call her Mom? Guess that makes me your dad, huh? They both blinked. "Sorry, what? Didn't catch that. Don't play dumb. What is this, a full-blown mutiny?" Ryan grinned. "Hey, we're just trying to teach Vanessa how to be the perfect girlfriend. For your sake, obviously." Dylan slapped my shoulder. "Come on, man. You should be thanking us." And then they started showering me with praise, full-on brown-nosing mode. I wasn't buying it, but damn, they were good at it. It hadn't even been half an hour since I declared myself officially no longer mad, and just as I shut the door on the last two visitors, the doorbell rang again, ding-dong, shattering my moment of peace. There she was. Vanessa, windswept and smug, stood at my doorway with a suitcase in tow. Chin raised high, lips curled with pride. "I've decided I'm moving in." I couldn't help but laugh. "Sure. That way I can make sure you get a daily dose of these abs." "Not in the mood to touch them anymore," she said dryly. "Well, you can touch somewhere else. You think I'm just gonna let you freeload?" Living together turned out to be, surprisingly great. Even though Vanessa was busy around the clock, she'd always find a way to come home and cook dinner for me. And if she was really swamped, she'd at least bring something back. Sometimes, when I saw how exhausted she looked, I'd take over the kitchen. Big mistake. She'd have me running around like a headless chicken within minutes. Meanwhile, Dylan and Ryan had both entered their romantic renaissance. They were dating again, both of them suddenly radiating cologne and optimism. One afternoon, Lillian stopped by. I was buried in thesis drafts. Vanessa had just stepped out of the shower, still towel-drying her hair as she went to answer the door. By the time I got to the front, Lillian was already gone. After that, I barely saw her. When we did cross paths, it was usually her walking the dog with her roommate, always quick waves, nothing more. Then one night, around midnight, hunger got the better of me and I ran downstairs to the convenience store for some bread. I came back and saw Lillian and her roommate just getting home. Even before the elevator doors opened, the smell of alcohol hit me. Lillian was wearing a tight red dress and heels, her eyes soft with just the right amount of tipsy. Her roommate looked like she was on the brink of passing out, leaning entirely on Lillian's shoulder. "Hey," the roommate slurred when she spotted me. I stood across the elevator, bread in hand. "You two been drinking?" I asked. Lillian nodded. "Yeah. She's having a rough night." "Liar," the roommate cut in, "you're the one with problems." The elevator dinged. Lillian quickly cupped a hand over the girl's mouth. "She's had too much. Don't listen to her. I'm just getting her to bed." I watched them wobble away, when suddenly. "Enjoying the view?" Vanessa appeared behind me, arms crossed. I sighed. "So I can't even look now?" Vanessa had a lot of amazing qualities. But when it came to Lillian, jealousy was her specialty. She stepped in front of me, blocking my view. "Nope. Not allowed. Especially not girls who clearly have a thing for you. Off limits." I let out a sigh. "It's been 6 months, Vanessa. I'm pretty sure she's over it." "Not a chance. Come on. We're all adults. People move on." "You don't get it," she said firmly. "It's a woman's intuition." The next morning, I was getting ready to drop something off for Lillian and her roommate when Vanessa suddenly rushed in and stopped me at the door. "Leave it to me. I've got this." But just minutes later, she came back, empty-handed, face flushed. I raised an eyebrow. "That was fast." "Yeah," she replied, dragging out the word like she was still mentally processing something. "Turns out, my intuition might not be that reliable." "Oh?" I asked, intrigued. "What happened? Did you run into Lillian's new boyfriend or something?" She hesitated, clearly debating whether to spill. "Let's just say, you'll understand someday. Either way, it's not our business. Let's focus on what actually matters." I nodded. "Fair enough. After all, we were getting married." The night before the wedding, Vanessa handed me a neatly organized envelope. Inside was a prenuptial agreement. Given her family's wealth, I knew this had to be important to her. She didn't want me to feel burdened or insecure about it. As I scanned the document, I froze. "It's all in my name?" "Yeah," she said casually. "Everything's yours. It's officially notarized. If you ever leave me, I walk away with nothing." I looked up at her, stunned. "You're not even a little worried I'll take the money and vanish? You do know I have no moral backbone when it comes to cash, right?" She shrugged lightly. "Not worried." I studied her for a moment, then gave her a wry smile. "You're hopeless. Head over heels, love first, logic later." And honestly, that's exactly the version of her I loved the most.